Tonight I had a training, or I conducted a training with about a dozen teachers, and typically these trainings, the expectation is that the teachers will come and that you will provide them with some skills that are relevant, some strategies and skills that are relevant to what they're experiencing in the classroom as new teachers. By the way, these were all new teachers in the school system. And I really wasn't all that motivated at all. I wasn't looking forward to it, and I took some time to think through that and why, and I realized that I just didn't feel like it was all that valuable to be providing them with a list of some resources and strategies. I mean, those are helpful and can make a difference in specific situations, and over time they can have an effect. But I wanted to have more of an impact, a meaningful impact. I want for when they leave, they spend 3 hours with me, I want them to leave with a more fundamental change and being much more grounded, firmly grounded, and clearly seeing why they're doing what they're doing and feeling very positive about it, and in addition to having those skills and techniques and strategies. And I was thinking about how to do that, and I started having thoughts about it today, and how to begin the conversation with them and asking them about their purposes and why they're at the meeting, and then my ideas started to flow, and I started writing them down, and I started really feeling it and feeling good about it, and I wanted to address their reasonings, their why. Well, I narrowed it down to 4 things. It's either they want to make one or more of 4 things, and those are the 4 needs of personality. So that, they became a teacher because they want to make a difference. They became a teacher because they love children. They became a teacher because they've always felt that teaching is they've always wanted to be a teacher. They knew they were going to be a teacher. That's their certainty. Or because it's just a challenge, and it's changing, it's different, and every day it's a challenge. You have the same kids day after day, and it's still these kids come up with new things every single day that you have to figure out how to address. They bring all their personal problems with them into the classroom. So that's the variety aspect of it. And those were the 4 areas that I felt that people became a teacher. That was for those reasons. And so I really had a hard time with that today, and I felt discouraged, and I felt like to begin talking with the teachers this way, and to talk about their why and their discouragement around it and what they feel. And there's teachers become teachers for a reason, and there's a high rate of, quote, burnout among teachers. A very high percentage of public education educators don't last more than a few years in the classroom, 3 or 4 years, and they're done. And they call that burnout. And I feel that the reason that there's burnout is because their needs and their reasons for becoming a teacher are not being fulfilled, and they don't know how to fulfill them. And I realized that today, and I wanted to address that even in a small way today. And that's not the approach that you take for these kinds of meetings. It's not what people are used to and what they're comfortable to, speaking more of my colleagues who would be there watching. And so I felt really discouraged about taking this approach, even though I was really feeling it when I was developing it and just letting my ideas flow. But I decided, you've got anxiety about doing this, and you can live past that anxiety, or you can stop. Go right up to the anxiety and then stop, or you can recognize that it's there, acknowledge that it's there, and walk right through it. And that's what I did. And I started out by asking them, why are you here tonight? The first person to raise their hand to answer said, because I have to be, and that was on my list, compliance. But then there are the other things that just on the surface, why are you here tonight? To get some information, to find resources, to become better teachers. And then my next question was, why did you go into teaching? Why did you become a teacher? Did you really become a teacher so that you would have the opportunity to learn how to teach? To become proficient at pedagogy? Is that why you became a teacher? And that has its answer built into it. No, there's a deeper why you became a teacher. And so we went through that, and the 4 areas that I'd identified, I said, so why did you really become a teacher? And 2 people right away said, I want to make a difference. And the next person said, because I love children. And then I followed up with the other 2, and we grounded ourselves in that's why I become a teacher. And at that point, people in the room felt it. They could feel it. And they were reconnecting to those needs that they have. And I didn't call them needs. I just called them whys. But that's why they became a teacher, because of those needs to be significant and make a significant difference for someone in their life. Because there's a love that they feel and a connection that they feel around the innocence and the openness of teachers, even of students, even adolescents are open to change in a way that adults often aren't. And because they just knew, there were a couple people that said, yes, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. And they identified with that. The one that not many people identified with was that it was a challenge. And I told them, I love teaching because of the challenge, because of the variety that's there and the actual interaction with the students. I hate the routine of being a classroom teacher. That's why I don't do it anymore. I really don't enjoy the card punching aspects of being in a school building, and the compliance and the meetings that you have to attend and the lesson plans that sometimes you have to fill out, and all those things that have nothing to do with interacting with a student and helping them get from A to B and helping them see their growth and feel that. So that's a challenge every day, and kids come in with all kinds of different problems, and that is a challenge to handle every day, and I loved it. Anyway, we grounded ourselves in those 4 areas or needs or whys, and then I asked them, do you ever lose that? Do you ever get in a place where you find yourself totally disconnected from that, and you feel frustrated, you feel at a loss, you feel like you just don't know what you're doing, or you don't know how to do it, you feel dissatisfied with how you're doing things, you just can't feel pleased with it, you have more questions than answers and they're unhappy questions? Have you ever been in that place? They all nodded and said yes. And I said, I want you to turn to the person next to you and tell them about one of those times. And it's not an opportunity. This isn't a rant. This isn't a complaint session. This is an opportunity to be vulnerable and to be open and to share what's really going on and what you really experience. And to tell the truth about it. And if you do that, it's going to change you. It's going to open you up right now. So they shared that, and then I told them they had an opportunity to share for about 5 minutes, and I brought them back together, and I said, those things, I chose not to have them share back with me, because what's the point of that? If I had the opportunity, if the point was to do an intervention with them, then I would have tried that. I really would have, and I wanted to do that, but it wasn't the time, and so I didn't even go there. But I did tell them, all right, I want to say 2 things about that. Number 1, you've got to find, when you're in those places, and they're going to come back when it's dark and when you're down, there's a way to get back to your why and to reground yourself in why you became a teacher. Those things we just talked about. And you can do it with rituals and with routines in your life that you purposefully put in there. And I recommend that you do it every day before you start your day, before you begin class. You can do it in between class, you can do it at lunch, you can take other times to do it, but if you practice regrounding yourself in that, and you find your gratitude for what you are doing, and what it really means to be there with those kids, then you'll develop a habit of going back there, and you'll be resilient to to those things that pull you down. But I said I want to tell you about those things that pull you down. Whenever that happens to you, it's like a flag is popping up in the air. And on that flag, what's written? What does it feel like is written? The big word can't. Or frustration. Or why is this happening? And it's a bad why. That's the flag that's popping up. But what you really got to see is that's not what's written on that flag. What's really written on the flag is time to learn, opportunity to grow. That's what that flag represents. And if you can train yourself to recognize that feeling, and then to recognize, wait a second, this is my opportunity to learn and grow. And at that point, reset yourself. Go into your rituals and reset yourself and find why you're doing what you're doing. And examine what it is that you're thinking in the moment that's bringing you down. You're going to find that that's not the truth about the situation. There's a bigger picture. And you can learn from it, and you grow from it. That's what that negative flag is for. It's a flag of negativity. Or a flag of failure. It's not what it is. That's just what it feels like. That's what you've trained yourself to believe it is. That's all you know so far. But you open up your mind to it, and it will mean something else to you. And you will take control. And you're going to always feel grounded in what you're doing. That's what I told them. And it was awkward for my two co-presenters. I was the one leading the presentation, and so they had to follow with me, or they had to just sit and listen. But it was awkward for them, and they didn't quite know how to stand up next and tie in what I said into their piece, and they did the best they could. They gave some more of the skill-based, nitty-gritty protocol and strategies, which again are very helpful. But strategies without identity, without control over your identity and control over your story. If you don't know how to control your story, control your state, your strategies aren't going to make any difference. They're not going to make any difference. So that's what I did tonight, and the teachers, it took a little while for them. They felt it, but they didn't know what was going on, and by the end of the night they saw how it related. We talked about how this relates to students and how to practice student portfolios. And they got it. About 80% of them really felt it, and they felt a difference, and they felt a change, and they felt empowered, and they felt motivated, and they said, thank you for motivating us. And that's when I knew that I got that small piece of change that I wanted tonight. That's what I wanted. I wanted it for them, but I wanted it for me, because I need to make a difference. I need to make a bigger difference, the biggest impact and significant difference for good and for growth, for fulfillment that I can. Pretty good experience.